Shane McMahon is still working for WWE. We'll get into it. Plus, scrapped Kurt Angle return plans have been revealed, and which WWE Hall of Famer was on standby for a Royal Rumble return. It's all in the wrestling news right now. Just last week we were saying there goes the money. Apparently the money may not have gone anywhere.
I don't know why it's surprising.
We have an update on Shane McMahon for you.
He was never going to be gone forever, or really gone at all, was he? Like, when it was like, oh, he'd been fine, it was like, oh, and I was expecting something like crazy, but it's slowly starting to look, as we kind of got about to report on, that he was just kind of fired from all public-facing WWE appearances.
It feels like that is the case, because so many sources came forward and said Shane McMahon is done with WWE, he's gone, Vince got sick of his nonsense and shooed him away. But earlier this week, Marco Mazzotti, who is the owner of the South Africa Sharks rugby team, revealed on Twitter that he'd had a meeting with Shane McMahon about a partnership with the WWE, putting out a tweet of himself and Doug Sifu, who is the co-owner of the Florida Panthers. And for one thing, in this picture, Shane looks sweaty. He's not even wrestling.
He hyper-perspires. Can we leave off? He's got a problem.
He's like the reverse Prince Andrew.
He's like me in a gym. Go for a 5-minute walk and it looks like I've been thrown in the sea.
Mazzotti saying, so grateful for a night out with brothers Shane McMahon and Doug Sifu. Excited for a partnership between WWE and rugby. In terms of the partnership itself,
yes,
does this tie in to the name, image, likeness, next in line program that WWE are doing, whereby they're working with college NCAA athletes?
Well, I don't think South Africa's included in the NCAA.
No, but is it? No, he's not. But is it like a similar thing where they're
like
trying
a feeder?
Like a feeder system.
I can see it kind of going one or two ways. Like, one, rugby is a very big sport. You know, in a lot of parts of the world that maybe it's not that big in America, but it's huge here, it's huge in South Africa, it's huge in New Zealand, it's huge in many different places. And I think that there can be some sort of brand partnership thing going on there that in those markets that might help promote WWE to a wider, more serious sport audience. But at the same time, we may see it could be things like stadium partnerships, like where we could come over and run a show at your ground, or it could also be, as you said, it could be like, well, have you got any talent that maybe you want to send our way?
Yeah, I think because in the same way that American football players gravitate quite nicely to the wrestling.
Yeah,
I imagine rugby players do as well.
Cesaro played rugby. Ridge Holland,
Luke Menzies, obviously.
Yeah.
So there's a history of that. So, but what it comes down to is the fact that Shane McMahon, whilst no longer sort of involved in the day-to-day running of the products, seems like he's going to be working on the periphery. I feel like they've just sent him off to do meetings to get him out of the way.
We've got a lot of partnerships seeming to pop up out of nowhere. Nick Khan is very much wanting to increase WWE's standing, I believe was the way it was put. He was wanting to increase their standing sort of in terms of wider perception of the company.
Yeah.
So anything like this where they can go into any market and work with other teams or work with other sports or, do anything like that, working with like Hollywood blockbusters and all this different stuff, I think it's all just going to be ramped up to the max from now on. I think we're going to see WWE popping up all over the place. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if we see them popping up on some like sport team shirts if they're like, a small enough team. So it's the sky's really the limit. They've got all the money in the world. We know that much. They seem to be really wanting to exponentially increase that money to like the nth degree. So they're going to take any chances where they can reinvest and hopefully spread more awareness and then hopefully rope in more people for, the network and for live shows.
I think NXT UK is already sponsoring a football team over here. I want to say Brentwood.
I think there is a team. Yeah, I remember definitely seeing the shirt with the shield on it.
Yeah, that's it. The shield's on it. Wow, get it. I think you still use those pictures. From future plans to scrapped plans. It's true. Kurt Angle was meant to be part.
It's sad, is what it is.
It's sad. It's really
so
sad.
I was reading this going, this would have been great.
Yeah, so Kurt Angle was meant to be. We talked about how there were plans for Kurt Angle to be a part of future WWE programming. Those plans, according to Fightful, involved being on Raw this past week. They had the Quiz Bowl.
Yes.
The Quiz Bowl apparently meant to be the 3 Eyes challenge. with,
Intensity.
Integrity. And the internet.
And yeah, that's definitely the one.
But that never ended up being the case. It ended up being like a very generic general knowledge sort of quiz. And then from there, Kurt Angle was set to be part of the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view as the guest referee for RK Bro versus Alpha Academy.
Why? Why wouldn't you do this?
That'd have been ace.
Why wouldn't you, it's Kurt Angle. If there's one person who could come back to any company, step back into wrestling after leaving after the whole Corbin debacle, and that whole run ending. If there's one person that could step back and just immediately get a pop, immediately be loved, and everybody wants to see them do something, it's Kurt Angle. What was he asking for? Like $2 billion? What? Why wouldn't you do it?
There's a great story at cultaholic.com that's been doing the rounds. I've seen it pop up on other people's socials, which is always nice to see. So thank you for your support. It's a story about Kurt Angle told about the Elimination Chamber 2005, where they played rock, paper, scissors to determine who would go out first in the chamber. And he won, so he got out early and got to have a nice early night. I like how some wrestlers, every night you want to give it your all, but some nights...
I'm getting paid the same.
Just won't go to bed. Some days you just won't go bed. Ric Flair on his podcast having a pop at Becky Lynch.
Oh my God! Surprise!
Yeah. So Ric's really got a bee in his bonnet about Becky Lynch.
Before we go into it, is it that he's just become like Richard Flair doesn't exist anymore and there is only Ric Flair? Because I've heard that said about him a lot, where like Ric Flair is Ric Flair is Ric Flair. He is the character in real life now. Is he just always working? Is he like in that wrestling bubble like all the time, and he's like buying it now, and he's just like, that Becky Lynch, my daughter will see you, and he's just walking around cutting promos like that. Like wrestling is just the forefront.
Back in the day, we were rapping for the hell of it. Nowadays, we rap to stay relevant. And that's kind of what's going on here. Ric Flair taking a shot at Becky Lynch and her. It was such a silly thing. Because Becky Lynch referred to Ronda Rousey as Ronnie. And Flair went, anybody that's stupid enough to call her Ronnie and make a joke of her presence and what she brings to the company is out of their mind. AKA, what's her name now? Big Time Bex? Hey, Ronnie, welcome back. Wow, that's exciting. That's really exciting. How about, thank you, Ronda, for showing up because I'm not the man anymore. I'm generic. Who am I? Big Time Bex, the last kicker? I don't know. Flair, mate, chill. Becky Lynch tweeted a response to this, saying, work so hard, your heroes become your rivals, then become so good that Ric Flair loses his mind every time you breathe.
Yeah, I don't get why Rick is just still, it's repetitive and it gets him in the news. But it does just feel like he's just buying every single thing that's happening in wrestling, hook, line, and sinker. And also, let's just Ric Flair, if you're watching, we're going to start calling her Rondi. What are you going to do about that? Yeah, Rondi. And Tom doesn't even like Rondi. He doesn't think she's a good wrestler. What are you going to do, Rick? What are you going to do, Ricky? What are you going to do, Ricky?
I'm going to call her Ronda Landu.
Or Richie. Which one would he like less?
Oh, I think Ricky.
Ricky sounds quite diminutive with his name being Rick, doesn't it? Yeah.
Jackass star Steve-O was meant to be at the Royal Rumble. He revealed on the YouTube channel for Jackass that he was meant to be there, but immediately on the day he tested positive for COVID and had to leg it. So we didn't see Steve-O at the Rumble, but he was in the building very briefly.
It was quite, it wasn't like, it was a huge like, oh my God, where's Steve-O? But it was a bit like, where's Steve-O? Oh, he must be busy.
So we didn't see him. He was meant to be on the bump as well. We didn't see him there
He's
either.
Still scared of Umaga. He doesn't want to be anywhere near the building.
Staying away just in case any of his family are knocking around. So we were meant to see him at the Rumble. Also, a WWE Hall of Famer was on standby for the Rumble.
Yes.
And that being Mr. Monday Night Rob Van Dam.
Yeah, he told Sportskeeda that he let WWE know that he was available for the Rumble, and he said that, if they wanted or needed him, and that he'd be on standby with a brand new outfit. He was feeling great, in a great condition. In the end, they did not call me in, but it could happen any time. I don't have any plans for it, but I would consider any situation from that company. I would definitely consider it. If it's right, it's right.
Would have popped for a Van Dam return of the Rumble.
I would have, but I thought that the reason Rob Van Dam wasn't in WWE anymore was something to do with his field of vision. I feel like I definitely remember around the time he, when he had the stint fairly recently, like a good few years ago now, when he came back for a bit, and then he wound up wrestling on like the 5-star UK tour afterwards and stuff. I'm sure that there was something in there where he said his field of vision had decreased to a point where he wouldn't be able to do certain stuff, and WWE were like, But at the same time, it would have been such a nice little moment to have Rob Van Dam there. It was one thing I felt that the men's Rumble was lacking was, I kind of, and I guess it's on me, I've kind of grown to expect it, but I like the throwback entrance, like the really
that's a big part of the Rumble.
Yeah, like the surprising, like, oh, I didn't even think of this guy, like,
It's a big part of what the Rumble's about, is those surprise throwbacks, So don't feel like you're wrong for wanting them, because that's a part of what the Rumble's about.
It's just like maybe I've preconditioned myself to it, and it's something they're not really focusing on anymore.
Maybe, baby, maybe. Are you on Twitch tonight?
Yes, I am.
Is it Marble Mania?
No, it's not.
What is it tonight?
I have no idea.
Amazing.
Stop asking me this. I never have time to plan.
Stay tuned for partial excitement. Sound Driver at twitch.tv/Cultaholic from 6 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. And if you want a warm-up before then on the podcast feed in a couple of hours' time from now, it's the Cultaholic Classic Nitro review.
We recorded that yesterday.
We had
lovely.
We had a lovely chat about Hulk Hogan swinging a sword.
Oh, God.
Because of reasons.
Yeah, Nitro opens with Hogan with a sword. It's a good one. Don't miss it.
Be there or don't. Look up Cultaholic wherever you get your podcasts from. Stay safe. Love you. Bye.